Is it still funny in 2024 to let an artificial intelligence like ChatGPT write a text for you? An introduction like this?
Hello, followers. It is December 2024. The year will soon be over, and we look back. It was the most exciting year for music and AI so far. Suno and Udio arrived. Labels have sued tech companies for infringing the copyrights of their artists. New startups emerged and disappeared. More songs than ever were published. It is an exciting time to be part of the big artificial intelligence sector, especially for this podcast. There is so much to talk about.
Thank you very much, ChatGPT, for giving me a brief introduction for this end-of-the-year episode. I asked the model to, quote, write in a few and easy sentences an introduction speech for a podcast that talks about music and AI. Don't get into detail, just mention a few developments of 24. And what you just heard is the result. Really? Did I really do that, or did I just write the text and let an AI voice pronounce it? Who knows in these days what is real and what is not? Welcome to a new episode.
This is the Illiac Suite, a podcast on AI-driven music. Join me as we dive into the ever-evolving world of AI and music, where algorithms become the composers and machines become the virtuosos. Yes, this music and text was written by a computer, and I am not real, but
I am, and my name is Dennis Kastrup. Hello humans, for this last episode of the year 2024, I have decided to look back a bit, and this with a friend of mine with whom I always enjoy having conversations about AI. Matthias Strobel. Matthias and I met some years ago, although you will hear in the next 50 minutes at some point that we do not agree on the date when that happened. Matthias will introduce himself right now, and you can listen to our conversation. I hope you will enjoy it.
I'm running MusicTech Germany, which is the Federal Association for Music Technology. We basically take care of all the people and companies and research institutions who work on new solutions for the music ecosystem that are technology driven. So everyone who is a software developer, hardware manufacturer, basically the people who build the tools for musicians to be creative or to help the music industry to generate an economic income through technology-driven tools.
Okay.
And AI is a big one, obviously.
Of course. And AI, when did AI in the field of music kind of enter in your field, and maybe what did you think? I mean, did it slowly sneak in, or was it like a sudden, whoops, here I am? How did it enter your field, and what did you think, and how did you approach it?
I think personally, my first contact with AI was the first recommendations in the early days of the streaming services. So that was my personal first contact with AI in that sense. And on a professional level with MusicTech Germany, I think in 2017. So I'm also running an event series here in Berlin called the Berlin MusicTech Meetups, which is an irregularly happening meeting of all the people who are interested in music technology here in Berlin. And I started in 2017. And I think the first event, the first meetup that I ever did was about AI and music, which was quite a different talk back in the days. But that was the first time that I actually had experts and professional people coming to the event and talking from their perspective about what they expect from it.
Well, I imagine back then AI and music was more into algorithms and predictions, what to listen to, where to go to. It was not really going to the direction of generative AI. I mean, 2017, it was maybe on the horizon, but it was not really focused on that, I imagine.
No, like the whole generative AI field back in that days were probably only explored by either researchers or artists who really used it in a quite nerdy way. I can't really remember what the first AI people were, but I think, it was probably not about generative AI. I just think about I don't know if, I invited CJ from DataBots once or twice, and I don't know if he was part of the first meetup or one that happened a couple of years later. But I don't think that generative AI was such a big topic, and nobody could have seen, probably at least in my circle, where we are today.
Yes, CJ. CJ is always the name. I think I already mentioned him here on the podcast also a couple of times. Our friend CJ, we both know him really well, and you know him longer than me. For me, I stay with my opinion. For me, CJ is the mastermind of generative AI and craziness. All the craziness that surrounds him, in the sense that he's a real artist. He goes on stage. He's like moving like crazy and feeling the music. That's what I always like when I see artists, when they feel the music. It's a little bit hardcore, heavy stuff, and he's generating some, I would say, people who are not really into that field would say unrhythmic music, but on the other hand, it is really well thought and generated really in a sense that I think it's amazingly avant-garde. And if you don't know CJ and the Databot, check him and them out, because they're a team and they do really amazing stuff. Since then, a lot of stuff happened, and we know each other also since that time. I would say since 2016, 17, maybe.
No, we know each other way earlier. We know each
really
other
a lot more. I would say
16. 2000, haven't you not done an interview with me with Nagual Sounds back in the days?
Nagual Sounds is what? Explain to the listeners what it was.
Like the first startup that I had, where you could basically, we developed a technology where you could translate data streams into musical structures in real time. So we used the Kinect camera and translated that data stream into music, and you could basically turn your body into an orchestra, as we said. And I believe that I did an interview with you when you had your days at Radio 1 here in Berlin.
Yes.
That was already 2012.
No.
Oh yeah. We closed the company in 2015, so it can't be that it was later than that.
Okay, we're having a fight here, but it cannot be. I didn't have my show in 2012. I didn't have my show in 2013. Maybe then it was 2015. But
right,
I don't. Yeah. But I think I started my show in 2017. So here's some time mixing up, but we'll figure that out after the interview. But it was,
let's do that.
It was definitely not 2012. Well, we know each other since a long time, and we talk about AI a lot. We discuss about AI a lot. We have same opinions. We have different opinions, and that's what I like about it, because we don't have fights, but sometimes Matthias is totally wrong, and sometimes I am totally wrong, and that's what I like about it. But tell me a little bit. I invited you to the podcast at the end of the year, because 2024 was an amazing or scary or astonishing year in AI and music in general. How do you look back in the last 12 months? To the last 12 months?
I would say this year was probably the fastest year in serious technological development when it comes to AI is basically happening all over the place, like in every industry, in all of our lives. It's part of the discussion wherever we go and whatever we do. But just focusing on music, I think there has not been another technology that has gone through so many iterations in 1 year than AI did in this year. And when we just look back at how bad it sounded at the beginning, or compared to what we have today when it comes to generative AI, and where we are today, and how little the discussion was about generative AI and how can we license music and what do we do with it, and how can we make sure nobody use it, or how can we make sure that everybody uses it in an ethical way. And I think obviously the discussion heated up. The two expected the law cases we could expect them are all in place now, and I think the next year is going to be even faster when it comes to AI and technological developments in all different aspects of AI, not just generative AI. I think we will see a lot more applications that are driven by AI in some sort of way, and we will also see a lot more access to it, like easier access. And that's something that that kind of like is not surprising to me, but at the beginning of the year there was probably a handful of startups that were calling themselves a generative AI startup for music or company, and I can't really count the startups that are now promising to be like the one generative AI startup that all popped up throughout the year. And obviously with all of the technologies, there's a lot of scammers out there that promise stuff that they can't keep up with, and but there's also really good and amazing examples of how this technology can be used in a really creative way, and how it can be used as a tool for musicians in the future.
What surprised me, because I work on reports like in the last days of a year, always who look back at the last 12 months. And what really surprised me, I really had to look up again if Suno and Udio came out this year. I remember then, but it was so much was happening that I was not sure again if it was this year or even the year before, because it speeded up so fast after January, when Juno came out last December, Suno came out last December, and then Udio followed, I think, in February. So this year, as you already mentioned, it's the speed is amazing. I cannot sum up what happened in the last 12 months, what came up, what new companies came up, which companies disappeared again, what discussions we had on so many levels. I remember I did write a big article in March for an organization in Germany, and I had to sum up the situation of generative AI or AI and music in general. And I finished the article in April, and it was published in May, and I thought it was so old. I mean, it was published the beginning of May, and I thought, what did I write? So many things already changed in 2 months that it was so hard to keep up. It was also so hard for me to keep up the speed of reporting about it, because once something opened, another door opened. But on the other side, this also showed me one thing. When I look back at 2024, for me, it's clear. This is the year where I stopped saying, wow. Because because everything is possible now. Yes, it started to speed up in the way. Wow, it is possible to change a voice. Wow, it is possible to generate this. Wow, it is possible to generate a whole song. It's over now. For me, everything is possible. What we can imagine of in AI all over the world, it is possible. Also in image generating. That's another subject. There's no wow anymore. So right now, for me, 24 is the point. Okay, it's there, and now we have to find solutions to live with it. Would you agree there, or would you say there's still some stuff on the horizon we don't know?
I mean, there's always stuff on the horizon that we don't know, I guess. So we are not like the super brains out there that have like some sort of like knowledge that nobody else has. So I'm pretty sure that there will be lots of stuff that we wouldn't expect to have happened. Like I just learned about like the NVIDIA generative AI model for music that they just released. I think it's called Fugaro or something, that I wouldn't have expected this company to come up with a product like that, where you can do like really silly stuff that in the first, like when you think about it, it doesn't make any sense at the beginning. So you can use horns and turn them into barking of dogs and all the kind of the crazy stuff. So I think the potential of using AI in ways outside of the box are still unexplored. And I think we're still at the really, really early days when it comes to what's possible with AI and how it can be used for music. So I think you're right, there's no wow effect anymore, because like, okay, yeah, wow, this is something that I wouldn't have expected to happen that fast, but it's clear that it's gonna happen. I'm just still impressed by the speed and by how small these LLM models are becoming to be, and how fast the whole open source community develops stuff. And so I think that there's a lot of things that we haven't even, or a lot of people haven't thought about, and there will be a lot of stuff happening in the next couple of years. And I think the relevance of all these companies that build these more general generative AI models like Uno and Studio is gonna become less. There will be more niche specific companies coming up, I guess. There will be probably more people using or building their own LLMs, and so there's a lot. Like this is the exciting thing with AI, is that it impacts so many different layers of music and the music industry and the creative process and the legal stuff and the access to music and so on and so on and so on, that there's that's not going to be over in the next 2 or 3 years. It's going to go on for a long time. So I think there's a lot of stuff that we haven't thought about yet, and which will still surprise us. But the wow effect when you see like the first generated picture, the first generated sound with AI, that's gone.
It's interesting because I could hear by what you just said how mixed up you are also, because you said Uno in studio, which was kind of a nice mixture of the two. I know what you wanted to say. It happens to me also sometimes. Uno, Sora, studio, audio. It's all a big mixture. But yeah, you're talking about this legal stuff. One thing that stays in my mind, really present for the last year, is of course the discussion about the data sets, about the copyrights, about how do we deal with this in the future. Maybe we'll talk about this a little bit later. But one thing I also saw happening on the other side of the spectrum, that people are trying to find ways not to fight also, but also find ways to raise a voice to say, hey, this is not going in a good direction, I don't like it. And also generative AI models who try to integrate the artist in saying, okay, we are using artists who gave their consent to train our data, to train our models. And so there was some stuff happening on that side, which I thought that was good, that we also have a community which says, okay, this far it's good, but we still also want to go in a different direction. I remember at Newton Rex, of course, who did start this organization called Fairly Trained. What do you think about this? I know you had some opinions about this too, which I saw online. He also released this petition where you can sign and support at Newton Rex for his idea that artists should be paid who are in data sets. What is your opinion about this?
That's a difficult one, because I think obviously everybody should be paid for the work that they're doing, right? So that there's no question about that. It's like if you're not out of your mind, then it's clear that if you do work, you should be paid for that. So if you've done creative work, you should be paid for that if somebody else uses it to train their model. So it's absolutely clear. So I'm in favor of like having the people who built the foundation, or who supply the foundation for generative AI models as in form of data sets, that these people should be paid royalties in some sort of way. The problem here is that there is no general system in place right now. So if I want to train a model right now, I don't know where to go and where I can actually license music in order to train my model. So I have two options. Either I train it with like accessible music that's out in the internet, and it's royalty-free music, and it's allowed to train a model with that, and it's basically public domain music. So I can train a model with that kind of music. It's often shitty quality. It's not the music that I want to train my model with. Or I can go to Pirate Bay or any other place and illegally download that music and train my model with that. It's also probably not the best data quality. Yeah, and it's probably also, or you scrape it exactly, but it's not the quality of the data is probably not the best that you can get. So it's so that sucks. So the thing that I see here is that it's easy to complain, like it's cool to have like the Fairly Trained thing going and have like other campaigns going, and it's the Human Artistry campaign that started already. I don't know, it's probably a year ago that they put out this website and letter. Then there's probably another 10 campaigns where like the biggest artists in the world and the smallest artists in the world and whoever signed in favor for like, okay, we should pay the artists. You should not use music illegally to train a model because that's unethical and so on and so on. And I think everybody would agree, but it's so easy to complain stuff and to say like you shouldn't do it if you don't provide a solution. So the thing here is that the music industry, as they always are lacking on incentivizing people using their creative assets by providing an infrastructure in order to license the music and paying out the actual rights holders in a fair and transparent way. And this has never been the case with all the other inventions from MP3 streaming. I don't want to talk about all that stuff, but it's just, we are in the same situation right now. And I think that's kind of like gives it a bit of like a faulty taste if there's like everybody's complaining but nobody's providing a solution. And I think that's a big problem, and I think that needs to be solved. And I fear that a lot of companies think, okay, if Udio and Suno can train their models on illegal stuff and then just have to wait until they are sued, let's just do the same. So everybody thinks like it's okay to illegally train their models and then wait for somebody suing them, and that sucks. And that also means that a lot of these generative AI companies who have trained their models with illegal music are gonna shut down in the next 12 to 24 months when Udio and Suno are coming to an agreement with like the major labels, which they will eventually come to, and then the major labels will say that they're so happy to like work with such a expert tech company that has like the best knowledge in AI. And like we know all that that's a game that the major labels always playing. They're never acting, they're always reacting, and that's gonna be the case here as well. And that still means that there will be backdoor deals that nobody knows about. Nobody will see the contracts. The actual rights holders will not get the money they're supposed to get. The labels will basically ripe all the fruits from these Gen AI models and leave their artists, which are so important to them, with like a couple of pennies, like they did with streaming. And that's a threat for artists. That's a threat for rights holders, and it's an opportunity for major labels to open up another revenue stream and fucking up the artists in new and different ways that they couldn't do before generative AI.
Yeah, they are already positioning themselves again as the fighter for the artists, but in the end, they're fighting for their money and not really for the artist's money.
Never. Like all the companies who are on the stock market and like all the public companies, they fight for their shareholders and never for the artist. And the artist is replaceable. Like the money they put into Taylor Swift must be probably hundreds of millions because they knew because she's successful. If she fucks something up, they just like let her go and then take another artist. Like it's like artists are replaceable for major music companies, and they don't really care about the human being behind that. But that's not a secret anymore. That's like it's clear.
I have talked about this subject also in many reports I did for radio stations, and it's a never-ending story. I think I can each month present a new report about what is the discussion, what is going on, where do we go, who's suing who's planning to have a data set which is ethically fine, who is saying okay it is fair use, who is saying I don't give a fuck at all, I just do myself, I do for myself, for my company what I want. How do you think we can we as let's call us customer, as customers who love the musicians, who love the music, who love the artists, and then on the other side use Udio and Suno all the time to play around, to have fun, because they say, okay, we are a big company. We take. I think it's in Great Britain. They said, it's fair use. We should be allowed to do this. I think what we have to do right now in this moment, and which I always try to also tell people, is do the thing, not just react and sit there and be amazed of what's going on, and let them have the power to decide on top of our heads. Okay, this is the way it goes, because that's the same thing that happened with Spotify in the end. We loved it, and it's a good way to pay artists, you have to say, but in the end the model is not really working for the artist. The idea was good. So it is time for us to take actions now, for us as customers, I say. And what do you think we can do? I mean, I'm always saying like it is an option would be to choose which generative AI model you want to take. But on the other hand, then you miss out the models you really like. You are doing really good stuff, and you sometimes really don't know what is behind the model. Also, they say it's ethically trained. So what do you think we as a customer, as users, what can we do? Is there something we can do?
It honors you that you're trying to be on the good side and you want to fight for the artists, and you want to only
always
use AI in an ethical way. Do you use Spotify?
Use
Spotify?
No.
No streaming service.
I use Deezer.
You use Deezer, okay. At least that's a try. But if you want to be like on the artist side, you should only listen to music on Bandcamp, buy music, and not go into the streaming thing at all. This is the same. Like
one thing. I use a generative AI model which has I use Soundful. Because
that's good on you, because you are a music journalist and you know your shit. But there's and you're not a threat to the artist. Like the general public, let's talk about like the 16-year-old until the I don't know, all the way up, who receive their news and their access to music by their peers or by common media or whatever it is. They don't care about that. They go the easiest and fastest and most accessible way, and that's never gonna change. And so I think that it's cool that you're trying to be like that, but it doesn't matter. Like people out there.
I totally agree. I'm not naive. I agree that's the way it goes. I agree that's capitalism, and it works like this. If it's easy, if it's cheap and it's fun, we use it. But on the other hand, I don't want to say I don't do nothing. I mean, that's the thing. If we continue to say we don't do nothing, where do we go?
Yeah, but you're a music journalist, and you are. I mean, you are in a really privileged situation. So what you can do is you can try to make this a topic on all the stations you work for and all the situations you give interviews. Like that's the only that's not that. I mean, that's the only, but that's a major power that you have, and that's probably more than other people have who might have the same mindset like you, but not are in the same situation or with the same network and with the same opportunities that you have. So when it comes to that, like you can obviously privately use only ethical trained AI models, which is fine, and you can always raise your voice and ask for better environments for AI companies to license music, and you can try to put a spotlight on these AI companies that have ethically trained their models with license or royalty-free music. The thing is that so I did a bit of a kind of probably I wouldn't call it consultancy, but I worked with a company that is trying to provide a licensing infrastructure for AI companies by having a system in place where they collect catalogs from labels and from artists who own all the rights, like all the 3 rights, and then provide parts of that catalog that make the most sense to these AI companies. It's not a problem to get labels and artists on board to actually tell them, look, if you own all the rights, give us your catalog and we provide it to AI companies. That opens up a new revenue stream for you, and we make sure to collect the money and forward it to you. The problem is that AI companies are not interested in it right now for the reasons that I just mentioned before, that they don't see any reason to legally license music at the moment. This will change. I'm pretty sure this will change in the next 12 to 15 months, and then it's all about making sure that there's a good usability in place, there's an interface in place that people want to use, that the services that provide all these generative AI music systems have a catalog that's actually big enough for people to use it. If that's the area that you want to go for, I'm rather a believer that we will see more and more niches. People are gonna provide small generative AI models for certain genres, or even for certain subgenres, or for certain elements in the creation process, be it voice, or be it drums, or be it synths, or be it whatever it is. So there will be more and more niche-focused AI companies, rather than having this huge model from Suno and Udio, which there's only, I think that the number of people who are using Suno and Udio, I have no numbers here, but I think that from the beginning to now, it didn't grow. It rather went down, if I'm correct. So I think that there's a lot of different ways of supporting this ethical AI movement, and you personally can raise your voice. That's what you do.
But I do raise my voice because I want others to raise their voices too. Because if I don't raise my voice, nobody will raise their voice, because others think others don't raise their voices. So that's why I want to talk about this.
That's very sweet.
But on the other hand, talking about licensing, how do we do this? I mean, like we license. Let's just imagine something is possible. Like you have a data set of licensed music, and the artists know this, and they give it away. So how do we pay? I mean, do we pay a one-time fee? Do we pay a monthly fee? Do we pay a yearly fee? And then, how is this? How will this work?
There's different ways of dealing with that. There's ways of dealing with it in there's tons of different models to license music for training an AI model. But let's just put two out there. Like one is that the one I think that's also Stable Audio is using is like if you give them your music if you license music for them, then they give you a share of all the pro licenses that they sell through their service. So let's say they sell like 100 pro licenses for 10 euros, then they make $1,000, and then they share it with you as a licensing company. All the share, you get the share, and then you as a licensing company, you can decide how much you forward to the people that you license the music from. So you make a deal with them up front and tell them like, okay, if we get in 500 euros, we give and then that's the next thing. You give it further to the label. The label then decides how much of the catalog that the label provided will go to the different artists from all of the catalogs. So there's a big chain of reactions that happens when music is licensed.
And that's a monthly fee.
I think it's a monthly or yearly fee. I think you can decide on Stable Audio what you pay for. Stable Audio is like monthly or yearly fee, and I think that if I'm correct, I know that they did that at the beginning. I don't know if they still do that. That they forward a percentage of the subscriptions that the people do for their pro version to the people who provided the music, but they also may have different models in place right now. Another way is weighing the music. So if you have like a model and you basically you're getting music from a label, and usually what you can do as a model is you can weigh music in a different ways. Let's say there's a certain amount of let's go big, a certain amount of Taylor Swift songs in there, and then there's a certain amount of indie folk musicians from Nashville. Obviously the music that is from the Taylor Swift catalog will be probably more prominent in the outcome from the AI system. So it's more important to have that kind of music in there. So you want to pay more to the person who provided the more important bits and pieces of music in that model than to the person who provided bits and pieces that are not as relevant as the other ones. So you kind of categorize different parts of the catalog that you provide for the model, and then when people generate music for I think in Suno and Udio you have points, and you use different points to regenerate models, and then you basically can see how much points were used to this part and that part in the song. So at the end of the day, it's pretty, for you as an AI model, for someone who owns an AI model, it's pretty transparent to see how much of impact had different parts of the catalog that were used to train a certain model for a certain song in the outcome that comes out. But there's tons of different ways of doing that, I think. And then there's artifacts, and people are trying to figure out how they can detect these different artifacts in the outcome. Then there's tokenization. One of the most stupidest ideas is to tokenize every kind of music that's out there, and then trying to find those tokens in the outcome of the songs. There's no one solution right now, and I don't know if there will ever be a one solution in that sense. But the first step would be, like labels operate in an advance, that you say, okay, here's a catalog of 50,000 songs, and the AI company pays an advance up front to the licensing company and says, okay, 50,000 songs, we give you 100,000 euros, and you pay that forward to the catalog owners. And we use that kind of music for, a year. And after a year, we see how much revenue we made. And then we make a new deal about another advance or another kind of deal that we make with the license holders. So there's probably a lot of different options that need to be discovered or need to be explored in a way to make sure that there's a fair system in place at the end. But yeah, I'm not a licensing professional here.
Mm-hmm. But do you think in the end this would be fair? Is it fair, and will artists, to be honest, If we think about this again, and we think about the fact that, like, the dilemma we have with Spotify, where the artists are not being paid fair, and if you are, let's say, a small artist who's been part of a data set, and you probably get just a little share of what you have done all of your life, let's say 20 songs in I don't know, maybe you wrote 20 songs in 2 years, and you spent a lot of time to be creative and do this. Excuse me. And then you will not get paid at all a lot of money. And for example, those 20 songs you just put in there, people used to create a song that they would have asked you before to create, because they think they like your music, but then they don't pay you anymore the right way. Do you think that will solve a lot of questions about spending money in that field? Because I have a doubt that it will be. I really see another big wave of, I know all these critiques that are coming out there from musicians. I see another big wave of the money will not end where it's supposed to end, and tech companies will just gain a lot of money from all those, even if they are paying licenses, and they make a lot of money, and the money will be distributed in a way that smaller artists, I know they always suffered. People always give this argument, it was always like this. But if they're in a data set, they're part of something, of generating something. They are part of this, because an AI learns from everything that's in there. So do you think, I have fear that this will go in a direction where, again, like the smaller artists, what we see already around us, which is people are struggling more and more, will have a chance to live by this? Or is there a chance to make some money? Or will it in the end again be just the big artists?
I don't think that an art, like, I don't know, maybe there's artists out there that gonna that start producing music only to train AI models with that. That could be a new kind of like kind of like a new job. Like, you as a music producer, you produce music with the intention that this music is only be used to train an AI model, because this is what an AI model needs right now in order to have the output that's required or demanded. So that could be a new job at the end of the day. If you are just a street musician, a folk musician that has like a couple of songs, and then, like, what's the point? Like, if you expect to like make a living from generative AI model licenses, then something is wrong with you. You should expect to make a living by playing your music, selling your music. That's why you make music. Like, this can only be an additional revenue stream. And yeah, you're right. I think that if we don't get systems in place, it's going to be the same story again. That the big guys are kind of like ripening all the fruits, and the people at the end of the food chain, they will only get what's left over. And so that's the same story again. That's why I think that we have now a big opportunity to kind of like change the system and make a shift in the industry. Also, because these AI systems get so accessible. I don't know if you're aware of, like, there's been Loop Fiasco made an AI rap lyric generator, I think already 2 years ago. Mm-hmm. And so he's no tech guy at all, but he had, I don't know, people in his surroundings. I don't know. The website is still on, so you can basically type in stuff, and the website would generate rap verses in his style for you. And he just did that because he saw an opportunity, and he used his own catalog, I guess, to train that model in order to come up with new verses. And I think there's a lot of like opportunities for artists out there to actually do the same, especially with open source models, to like have access to them, make them own them, create your own models trained with your own catalog, and then sell these models. I think anyway that the future is for artists selling their own models to fans, and that fans can then create their own versions, remixes, and stuff of that music.
Only
and then
models, it will be called.
Yeah, that's a good call. We should save that name. Actually,
save that name, yeah.
Only models, because yeah, I think that's also a great way of engaging with the fans, and having like making sure that you get the money that you deserve to get. And obviously, really small artists will not have an opportunity to train their own models now, but in the future it will be as easy as building a WordPress website these days. I'm pretty sure that everybody can train
at least
their own
if you
models.
have enough songs.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and still that there's models. They're so small these days that you can train them already with like, I don't know, 500 songs. Obviously, that's already a lot. But if you hang out with your friends and you find like a couple of friends that all come together to train a model with like, I don't know, you go to a punk festival here and you have like 40 punk bands, and if they all come together and say, let's train a model with all of our songs, we get all a share. There's different ways of dealing with that, but that's what I meant before with like, there's so many things that we don't know what's gonna come, and I think one of the big things that's gonna come in the next 2 years is artists having their own models, labels having their own models, selling these models to their fans using these models and using the output to actually do free marketing and communications for the actual artists because they are proud of what they generated through that thing. The artist is going to share it. There's a lot of opportunity with like these open source models, and I think that's where we're gonna go. And
I totally agree. Also, in the sense of a broader picture, of course, that we will all have our assistant AI model who will be focused on us, on everything we do, on everything we say, on everything we play, on everything, maybe in the end, everything we think, or we might be able to detect what we think one day. I mean, to forecast in a further future. And yes, and this will also be happening with music. I mean, I don't know, maybe one day you will just have your assistant, you sing every morning a melody in your phone because you like to sing melodies in your phone. And at the end of the day, or at the end of the week, the AI will create a song out of what you've just sung for a couple of days.
Yeah, and then still
make
it's
a
just
song of it.
Yeah, and then it's still just an inspiration for yourself, and then you can continue doing that in a professional way by using a digital audio workstation, using your instruments.
Yeah.
But it's just like it makes things so much more accessible, and there's always a difference between the amateur and the professional, and this will always be the case. And I think that that's basically the bottom line is that that's tech, and it can be used by an amateur, by professional, and you will see the difference and you will hear the difference.
Yeah, I mean, you would probably agree. I mean, you just said it. Like, I totally agree with and that's why I started this podcast, with all the possibilities for musicians and non-musicians. It's an exciting time, and it's amazing to see what everybody can do, and that I can send a funny song to my mother for her birthday, and she loves and she's happy about this, although it's crappy. But I made her smile, which is a nice way to give something little like a little song. So and I was never able to create something. And I already talked to somebody also. I had a coffee in Berlin with, and he also said like, I'm a texter. I like to write poems, and I like to. It really makes me happy to have my songs being sung by somebody, which is, even if it's an AI, and then I put it out there, and he puts out really political texts out there, and he says, I have the feeling I can change something with it. I don't know, in the end there may be just 30 people listening to it, but if he has the feeling, I love to do this because I can say something in a different way, it's beautiful, and I embrace this, and I like this a lot with AI, and I like the things that are happening. So if everybody who's listening always thinks, Dennis is always criticizing the way artists are paying, yes, I do, and we have to find a way to do this. But I criticize also Spotify, and I also criticize downloads. I didn't in the beginning, but I do now. When all this MP3 mania came up, I was a downloader. I loved it, and now I think differently about it, which is also strange when you change with age, that you think, wow, that's not nice what you did. And now I know artists who complain because they are really great artists. And it's also one thing, like, we have so many artists out there right now. This is also something we have to keep in mind. It will be more and more difficult to make money with music anyhow. I mean, I don't know if you've seen it, this thing that this headline that was like 120,000 songs a day are uploaded on streaming portals like Spotify, Deezer, or any DSP that's out there, and it's like, and I think the one guy from Spotify said it's like in one day more than a whole year of 1989 or something was the quote.
Yeah,
and that's also where we are going, because we will have more and more producers who think they are producers because they have AI to help them to create something, and there will be a shitload of more music coming out there, and it will be even more difficult to be heard. That's the thing. That's
correct. There's like one thing that is really gonna be like somebody needs to, or a lot of people need to produce tools that like better recommendation tools, filtering tools, make sure to like give you only the music that you want to listen to. And then there's nothing wrong with AI generated music if it serves a purpose. Like if people want to listen to AI generated music because they like it, then why not? It has always been the case that the music who people want to listen to, that music survives, and it doesn't matter how and who has produced it at the end of the day. That doesn't make a difference on the consumer side. And on the artist side, like if you are a good artist, you had in the entire, like it was always like you had to be lucky. You had like either these days have a viral TikTok thing, or you had like have contacts to like A&R people, or were lucky to be discovered by an A&R person, get a deal with a label, and get like the support in order to make it and make a living from music. The whole like. There's this, like, I mean, I was a musician back in the days as well, and I think that the first step why you make music is because you enjoy being creative and expressing yourself through music. This is like the first step, and the second step is if you do it in a band, you like making music with other people together, and the third step is then you want to go on stage and share it with other people, and there's actually a fourth step, because if you see that people like your music and you like to be on stage, then you want to continue doing that and go on more stages, and then you realize, okay, I want to make that my living and I want to make money out of that. But starting with like buying an Ableton license and on your computer, and then thinking that you can make a living from that, that's a really stupid way of. That's like me buying a soccer ball and thinking that Bayern Munich gonna sign me in the next 2 months. So that's extremely stupid and unlikely. So at the end of the day, we shouldn't forget what music is about. Music is mainly about like the joy of expressing yourself in a musical way, and also expressing your thoughts and feelings and all that kind of stuff. And if you like, there's the whole functional music thing that we didn't talk about, or adaptive music in games and stuff. There's a lot of purposes for Gen AI music that makes sense. And as I said, there's like lots of things that we don't think about right now, because we're so busy with like thinking about the traditional system of the music industry and how AI can affect that, rather than thinking about like how AI can actually open up new horizons for jobs, for music to be heard, for access for people who don't have the money, the capabilities, and so on. There's like tons of different opportunities on that side, and also for the musicians to actually generate an income that they wouldn't generate before. So there's it's an endless topic where we can talk forever about like what AI is actually good or bad for music in that sense.
I always give this example. I also do believe already that we have heard in the charts all over the world songs who are in the top 10 who have been at least generated melodies by an AI, and they just used it in a different context and maybe made somebody sing it or whatever. But in the end, and that's what you also said, in the end it is what the artist makes out of it. I mean, I can find a melody which is amazing and which will stuck in your head for the next 3 years, but if I don't find anybody who is more beautiful than me singing on stage and has more talent to be an entertainer, this song will stay forever in the darkness, or I will make I will use an avatar of me and there will be something else. But I always believe, like, if you listen to a song, I gave this example, maybe I've mentioned this on this podcast also sometimes before. I always give this example. If you listen to a song, you make something out of the songs by yourself. So I talk to many musicians and I always ask them, so what was the idea of the song? And a lot of them tell me, it's your song. I had an idea what I wrote when I wrote the song, but if you take the song, it is what you make out of this. If you think I'm singing about my husband, my ex-wife, my ex-husband, my lover, my cat, my dog, my bird, whatever, it's up to you. It's your projection, what you take of it. And if that song makes you happy, if I sing about somebody and you think it's your dog, that's your dog. So that's the same thing. Also about if you're listening to an AI song, if you don't know this song was written by an AI and you still make something out of the song which touches you, and you sing this song, which you sing this song every day, 24 hours, you're feeling sadness with it, or you're happy and it makes you just happy, and you think maybe that person has sung it, and then somebody tells you, oh, it was an AI that wrote it. Does it change you? Does it change the feelings you have?
At the end of the day, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day,
it doesn't matter. It's
like
what you do. It's what you do with the song. And face it, in the end, how many songs of these artists in the top 10 have been really written by the people who are singing it.
Yeah, right.
So it's already a projection of us as listeners, of people. It's been always a ghostwriter maybe in the background, there's a producer. The person who's singing it in the end is just the person who has the best entertainer qualities. So everything, the product of pop music has always been a mixture of many things. And now AI comes in there and it's just another player. And let's see where she will take us, whatever we will call the AI. I'm really excited to see where it's going, and I think we're gonna finish with this enthusiastic last.
It's gonna be exciting times next year. Let's do that again by the end of next year and see where we got from there.
Yeah, and then we'll quote each other and say, okay, you were totally wrong there, and you say you were totally right there. I'm really excited, and as there are good sides of it, there are many bad sides of it, and we talked about.
I would make a
both of
prediction that by the end of next year, you will have your own AI model. Like you personally, Dennis Kastrup is gonna have like his own AI model by the end of 2025.
Like a general one. I mean,
you have
my
your own
voice.
LLM that you train with your own content, be it audio stuff, music stuff, picture stuff, whatever it is. You're gonna have your own most of us people who are interested in that topic will have their own models.
And I tell you what, some years ago, I already asked somebody from Google I knew, it's like, hey, can you take I've done around, 2,000 interviews in my life, and all of them are on my computer. And I asked him, can you make a model of me doing interviews? So train on how I am in interviews, so I can do.
Yeah.
And so I can do, my other self can do interviews for me. And he said, yes, Dennis, of course we can do this. But it will take us how many days? I don't remember. Many days. And it will cost you a lot of money. So I said no. But maybe this will be easier and quicker and not that expensive in the next month. We'll see. And maybe you will have a model too. And maybe we'll just let our two models talk.
Yeah, let's do that.
Is it already next year that we'll have the two models talk? I don't think so next year, but one day.
Who knows?
Or maybe the four of us. I think the four of us. We still have to keep the human touch.
Interesting, yeah.
We have to have the human touch. Keep the human touch alive in the music, in the AI world, anywhere. That's a good ending.
Yeah, that's a really good ending.
Thank you, Matthias, for talking to me and giving
Thanks so much for having me.
Appreciated insights of AI and music. And as you said, we just opened little doors. There's so many. I would have talked also about maybe, because we always talk about the surface, and AI is also causing some ecological problems we never talk about. I'm always a little bit sad about that I don't talk about it, because I'm so fascinated by the subject in general. But I promise on one of my next episodes, I will talk about the ecological impact of AI, and which is also a big thing.
That's a really big topic. We could talk about that. Let's do that another time.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for having me. It was really amazing and fun talking to you.
This was it, the last episode of the Illiac Suite in 2024. What a year it was for AI and music. What a year it was for AI in general. What a year it was in general. I wish you a very good 2025. I hope you will stay with this podcast. If you ever have anything to tell me, you can mail me at mail@theilliacsuite.com, mail@theilliacsuite.com, or you can find me on Instagram at the Illiac Suite Podcast. You will also find the episode as a stream on YouTube. You will find the Illiac Suite anywhere online if you want to listen to the last episodes. Thank you for listening. Take care and behave, humans.